we are going to be talking about building a tech stack for delivering a winning customer experience. And these two gentlemen obviously have a lot of experience in building and learnings around it, and we'll be discussing those. Just a caveat though, so we are not going to be discussing brand names. So if you're looking for any specific brand names of tools or recommendations, we're not going to be discussing it on stage. Feel free to mock these two gentlemen outside for any tips around that. Excellent. So with that said, let's start. Prathamesh, Nitesh, why don't you introduce yourself first to begin with? What do you do? What's your role? Nitesh.
Yeah. So I head the product experience team at Porter. Here at Porter is a startup, on-demand services startup. So that includes product management and data analytics and design. So that's what I do. Growth is definitely a key metric for any startup. I have been part of startups which didn't scale up. I have been part of startups that scaled up, and also been part of big giants and kind of seen things from
Awesome. Thanks, Nitesh.
Okay, so my name is Prathamesh. I've been here at Licious for the last 2.5 years. Seen a staggering growth here. Before that, I was at Mills Basket in Gurgaon. Again, a good platform, the daily grocery platform. I'm originally from Bangalore and I love all things growth. In fact, just a quick tidbit, my whole family is into growth actually. My wife is doing performance marketing for Rapido. My sister is doing retention marketing for Nykaa. So our dinner table conversations are all around this.
You guys are definitely
Yeah, so we discuss कौन सा affiliate अच्छा चल रहा है, cost per click model है, CPI.
Wow. The dinner conversations are fun.
Yeah, and to the point agency commissions as well कि कहाँ कम कर सकते हैं.
Oh my
We
God.
actually do that.
You've got a clear network insight about it. Yeah, amazing. So awesome. So let's get right into the questions. When we talk about tech stack, right, and obviously there's different niche to it, tech stack, all sorts of tech stacks out there. Can you talk a little bit about how the tech stack is built in each of your respective organizations? Again, in terms of what are the functions that it does, and a little bit about why it was built that way.
Yeah. So I think, see, wherever we all start or wherever we all have been, it all starts from Google Sheets. सब कुछ Google Sheets पे ही होता है, Excel पे होता है. We start from that, and the way we look at tech stack, we look at it in two parts. One is to drive insights. Second is to reduce the manual effort that we have. Now, if you look at deriving insights, now again, if I were to break it down, there's a small framework that I'll say in growth, like I think Megha also mentioned. We're talking about awareness, we're talking about acquisition, we're talking about retention, we're talking about loyalty, we're talking about engagement. So slightly similar to that, I'll say there are two parts. One is at a company level, one is at a user level. So when I talk about a company level, you want to know, or at a market level, what is the category or what is the market like. So very simple example, I'll say for Licious, I'll say how many people are searching online for chicken online, which gives us a sense of the online market for meat in a particular area. For example, if I want to launch tomorrow between a Lucknow and an Agra, I will look at some of these data points out there. So at a company level, when I will say first how is the market there, how is my brand awareness there, where we were talking about total awareness. So there are certain marketing tech stack tools that actually help you there. That's the company level. Second will come at a user level. Now I am talking about acquisition, if I were to say. How does my install to conversion look like? How does my conversion flow on my website look like? After acquisition, even if you look at the other steps in the chart, like install हो रहा है, category page हो रहा है, add to cart हो रहा है, or even payment page पे आ रहा है, checkout हो रहा है. Like every stage, you will see there will be some or the other reason there's a drop off, and that can be the help of a tech stack. Then obviously we already spoke about retention, we spoke about cohorts, we spoke about how, in fact, in Mitard's session on Frio, how they have used RFN and basis the cohorts, the churn modeling that we do. I think these are things which we actually use at a user level. So I think this is how it got evolved. And obviously this is not something, for example, from the very first day you have it present. पहले आप देखोगे आपका the revenue equation, you look at orders, AOV, फिर वो acquisition, retention में you break into different cohorts. हर cohort का revenue क्या हो रहा है. Once you go deeper, I think it's a journey that you actually go.
Yeah, so I think maybe I'll talk about a different perspective from that one. So I think one way to look at it is that, the other way to look at it is from a overall what are the activities that we as a company or a team do, right, from this perspective or organization. And then you can look at, we create content, so we need content creation. We disperse content, we need content dispersion slash search engine marketing, etc. All those basically channel management. The third set of activities which obviously are around analytics. We want to see how we are doing and like the funnel analysis and like all of that. It's a lot towards analytics, the funnel inside and outside of fourth set of activities that usually you see is that we have a lot of collaboration needs and content is one part is outside, but the content is a lot of it is also inside. Basically reporting, analysis and internal documentation stuff like that. And collaboration between as a team. So a lot of collaboration tools, project management, all of these things probably, email is probably 20th century tool and I would not advise to kind of depend on email for collaboration. So it needs a much better tool, and I think as teams, especially pandemic kind of teams, we should also become more distributed. Very important kind of that how to collaborate and how does the communicate. So those are the key. They usually the engagement tools, right? Because they are in the market, which is helping you engage with different stages of the customer journey or customer journey. And one of the most important one that we was talking about is actually cohorting, segmenting, and deriving insights. I think that's very key part, because anything that will contribute from both I think cohort analysis or even qualitative analysis are super critical in any stage of the journey. Right? Because A is what's happening, but B is why is it happening. I think that why question you cannot answer a lot of times using data. You need to do definitive, you need to do what we can call as observability kind of tool, right? Where customers are getting stuck from a qualitative angle, not really from. So I think those are the set of tools or stacks that you can look at. There will be options for for each of them. And you can obviously, I think in engagement is like two types of engagement. One is and there is also relationship management, customer relationship management, and customer support management or stack.
Obviously, both Licious and Porter, you are at a certain stage already, going through that growth phase. Right from being a early stage of the company to the stage that you are now. So, can you talk a little bit about the context? The second was trying to revive the part I asked in terms of what was the context in which you added these layers, right? And I think that you reference that individual and obviously tool stack as a word and stack. So, can you talk a little bit about how this evolved? As the organization grew?
So I think that evolution, like you're talking about, it goes to the depth that we want to actually find out answers about. So I'll give you a very small example. In acquisition, there are a lot of attribution tools that we all use. I can use the brand name apps flyer that we have. There is branch. Typically, these are the attribution tools we use. They give you a last click attribution method. कि यहाँ से मेरे को acquisition आया, conversion हुआ. Now this is something that yes we were using वहाँ पे. Now the next step that moves towards that is probably a multi-touch attribution method. You will want to see from where the install came, from where the active card happened, from where the conversion happened. This is step 2. Now you move towards probably step 3. You are saying मैं CAC नहीं देखूँगा, मैं LTV देखूँगा. मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. iOS का user है. I'm ready to pay a higher amount for that. This is an LTV based approach that gets. Now, even in LTV, then one is very simplistic iOS answer. You can go up to a deeper level, a person staying in Bangalore Whitefield versus a person staying probably in Electronic City. They will have a different LTV. So, when you go to these granular levels, is when you actually go the why part, the context part. I think that's an evolution that happens. Like, I'll give you one more example here. In one of my previous companies, we used to look at revenue at an hourly level, where every hour we get a report. Now the question is like in the proactive assistant that you shared, it might tell you revenue गिरा है, ऊपर गया है, orders गिरा है, ऊपर गया है, क्यों गया है? क्यों नहीं हुआ है, you will never know. For example, again at Licious, for us we actually follow वो Hindu Panchang. If you see, आज आषाढ़ी एकादशी है, तो we'll see a dip in business. So MoEngage or any other platform will come and say हाँ धंधा गिरा है.
But it won't tell you
क्यों
why.
गिरा है वो नहीं बताने वाला है. So I think that is one thing what Licious was also alluding to. If all of you are here कि टूल से मेरा ग्रोथ आएगा, सॉरी नहीं होने वाला है. Please, मतलब वो बिल्कुल नहीं होने वाला है. अगर टूल से ग्रोथ आता तो शायद हम भी टेका कौन होते, हमारा भी मतलब सब हो जाता वहाँ पे. So please don't expect टूल से कुछ होने वाला है. Tools are there to help you. Eventually अपना ही दिमाग लगाना है वहाँ पे. And those customer insights, I think for the first half, everybody has been just harping on one thing. Customers. Like be it Chaitanya's Wake Fit session or even Mega session. They're just talking about talking to consumers. Nothing else. वही है सिर्फ easy है. उससे ज़्यादा और कुछ नहीं है. और करता कोई नहीं है. तो हम लोग
And I'll come back to that, in terms of why that is important, in terms of talking to customers. But Nitesh, just on this topic of the context in which you build these tools, I think one of the things that you also, you've had this very good experience of being part of organizations which didn't scale up.
Yes.
Right, but very early stage, maybe even 3 from that point. So in those cases, and I'm sure even in the audience, there are people who just started off as a business,
Right.
2 people, 3 people, doing much stuff. So can you talk a little bit about how did you look at these tools perspective?
Sure. So I think I'll give you a very simple analogy. When the child is going to nursery and primary school, they are forced to use pencil, right? And why is that? Because they are bound to make mistakes. They are learning to write. They are learning to do several things. But then one of the key parts from education perspective is learning to write, and that's why they give pencil because they can correct whatever they are doing. There is no big impact of, let's say, they writing something wrong. They can easily correct it, and that gives you more confidence. But then pencil is not efficient. Anybody can come and erase it and things like that, and there are efficient ways to look at it. So at some point you switch to pen in your life, basically, and I think post-standard it happens. So I think something similar happens, and because pen is better and is more skillful, whatever you call it. But I think you don't have to sharpen it, right? So I think that's the analogy that works with the startup also. So when you are in your whatever you want to call it, seed stage, B series A, series A, like very early stage, with pre-product market fit or just product market fit kind of thing, the kind of tools and technologies you should be using are pencil, right? So that you can easily change things, you can learn a lot from that, and you can, even if there's a mistake, you can like fix it in hours and minutes, right? And you need to use pencil and your strategy also has to be that, like that you use maybe second, right? That I try 20 things and one of them will work, right? And it has to be that. But when you have a product market fit now that you have found that, oh, this is the type of customer with which my product really works, and this is the kind of use cases that it is really solving, then you really want to switch to pen, right? It's saying that now you want to send notifications at scale, automate the notifications, all of those things probably come into picture. Now we have a much higher level of CRM. Initially you could just sit with and like analyze yourself, right? And then give you this thing. But then as the user scale and like the diversity of your users go up, then you use more and more technology. And the second thing I can talk about is that as a startup, you would know in that pirate metric that we're talking about, that what is the biggest challenge for your startup? Is it awareness? Is it retention? Like whatever it is, right? And that's where you need to invest the most, I think, in terms of your stack, because if that's a prime in your product category or in your domain that you're operating, if awareness is not the problem, but it's really the engagement of people just keep coming back and ordering, then that's where you need to invest in time. So I think I would say that if awareness is the problem at a much lower cost, then I would invest in tools which can help you build awareness and what.
Just to add on to that, I think it's a very good point for a very early stage company. Like giving you an example again, when we were at 12 Basket, I was talking to Anand, our co-founder. When they started selling, when they started the platform, it was only on WhatsApp.
Exactly.
They were taking
That's the pencil example.
Yeah, the pencil example. The grocery orders were actually taken on WhatsApp. That's it. उस पे धंधा चल रहा था. So when you talk about MarTech stack, you want to use a MoEngage or any of their competitors, AppSquare or any of their competitors. ये सब बाद में आता है. And it's proven with data as well. मतलब from where we are coming, आपका जो भी MarTech platforms है retention के वगैरह, it won't give you more than 20-25% of your traffic. मतलब in fact if Ravi in fact comes, joins you as an operation executive, खुद MoEngage चलाएंगे, 25% से ज़्यादा traffic नहीं आने वाला. So the point that I'm trying to tell you is it's entirely your product fundamentally. ये सब secondary है वहाँ पे. So when you're starting a company or you have your early PMF, यार Firebase से भेज दो push notification, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. पहले basic set कर लो, जब scale होगा
तब you automate.
Yeah.
And use AI and all that.
Awesome. I think I'll come back to that point that you made. You mentioned just listening to customers and the qualitative feedback that you get from people. And you also mentioned that not many people do it. Why do you think that is? It's not, I know it's not related to tech stack, but just curious on that because I hear that very commonly. I mean, even on stage you've heard that, and it's one of the earlier sessions common. Like, what do you think the bottleneck is?
I think it's.
And Nitesh, feel free to answer that.
Yeah.
I think it's us. Problem is us. All of us are left-brain individuals here. सबको सिर्फ data दिखता है. काफी cool, sexy लगता है मार्केट पे काम करना, बात करना. It's really difficult ना कस्टमर से गाली खाना. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and I think it's more related to we want to take all the decisions based on data. We want to see the charts. My add to cart has decreased from X% to X minus Y%. उसके बेसिस पे मैं एक नया ऑफर रन कर दूंगा. With that, I think the customer part is the hard part, and second, I think we don't trust our intuitions anymore. But if, and again here, bringing the example of Licious, अगर सिर्फ डेटा के ऊपर अगर डिसीजन करना था तो शायद अभय विवेक Licious चालू नहीं करते या रवि MoEngage चालू नहीं करते. So I think we need to trust our intuitions as well, which comes through data obviously. I think it's a hard part to do. मतलब we are very good at laptop पे बैठ के campaigns चलाना.
But do you have any sort of frameworks on how you overcome the confusion? Because I'm sure a lot of people have.
Frameworks regarding?
Yes, like how do you overcome the confusion? I don't know if you want to call it again, very data-driven word framework, so leave that aside. But how do you overcome that?
I think just talking to consumer, we actually do a regular set वहाँ पे once in 2 weeks. I'm also guilty, I'm not that regular.
So you force yourself, you set a cadence and you force yourself.
Yeah, you have to force yourself. मतलब मैं यहाँ पे ज्ञान दे रहा हूँ लेकिन मैं भी इतना regular नहीं हूँ, honestly बता दो तो. But yeah, I think the way they said, so there are few initiatives like they were talking about, Chaitanya was talking about looking at negative reviews and the whole company, and actually it comes from top down. Like in our company actually, Abhay and Vivek both are, I'd say, obsessed, race to n अगर रहेगा, they are like that for consumers. And once it comes from top down, I think everybody in the company, मतलब अगर कोई कूपन कोड भी अप्लाई नहीं हो रहा है, some consumer complaints, उसका पूरा RCA होगा, काफा होगा, सब कुछ होगा. So it's to that level. And then you talk to consumers and you come to know what's the problem that they are facing. Obviously there are certain tech tools, I think I want to talk about that as well first.
I think it's very simple. It's like you said, the culture, value leadership and that's also about what really happens is when we're doing marketing, what we're saying is that we go from an individual to a segment, like some right? And when you go into the segment, and let's call this audience as a segment, then I'm not thinking individually each of them what you call it. I'm thinking this segment is thinking this. So a kind of a personalization or so this qualitative aspect somewhere when you do this segmentation, I think we lose that. That actually we are calling it a segment, but it inherently every individual is so different. And I think that's where sometimes the challenge is now. And the other set of things is, and there are companies, I think you have heard in Amazon, like you have to attend the call, you have to do deliveries yourself, there are many companies like that in the world. And that kind of culture can come from top or it can be carried at bottom, it doesn't matter. But I think that's very, very important in the long run. And doing that qualitative, just chit chat with customers or partners or whoever it is so critical that you're actually bound to discuss so many knowledge points. And I think we just do less of it. I think it's because we get lost in this whole segmentation and like all that thing that we are then just grouping people into a group which may or may not be coherent, and then we are solving for the segments that we will do. At some point we will do that. I think all the stories, success stories or whatever stories you have heard, where a company tried to solve one person's problem is also motivate one for that one person wants that. So I think the more people feel that this company will wage a war for one individual customer, the more happiest customers.
Got it. And that's interesting. And I think Prathamesh, you referenced having some of these tools in terms of trying to understand more about the customers. Right? I think it's just about to make it. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
So I think tools come secondary. I think that is where we wanted to talk. Like initially it becomes very easy, customer list to talk. Now taking the example of customer feedback. I think all of us here are, I think this is April, so part of the annual operating plans we are here. Next year we ये achieve करेंगे. Then that gets broken down to monthly operating plan. So just a framework for you guys, while you're evaluating a couple of MarTech frameworks or tools, I call it something like GSC framework, like goal, strategy, and then the challenge. Like to give you an example, if in this AOP I have a goal that I want to increase my organic traffic, just hypothetically, everybody wants to do it. आपको भी करना है.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have a goal I want to increase. So if I break it down into the two strategies, probably I might be focusing on App Store optimization for me. For you guys, SEO is something that you might be focusing on. Okay, ये strategy है. अब उसके अंदर मैं challenge जाता हूँ. मैं जाऊँगा AdWords में keyword planner में मेरे को keywords तो मिल गया. But मेरे को keyword पे competition क्या चल रही है? Where am I saying? That is when I then start saying कि मेरा current challenge ये है. What are the tools that are available in the market? मुझे SEO करना है फिर वहाँ पे. So it's a very simplistic framework that we actually think about internally as well. Like very simple, like और एक example दूंगा. Like my goal is, for example, to increase my acquisitions from affiliate marketing as a channel. Or if my goal is performance marketing में increase करना है, strategy is affiliate marketing. Then my challenge is fraud obviously. And then is where I am thinking about probably different MarTech tools which will be able to help me detect those things. So if I go with this framework, it hardly takes 10 minutes of thought process putting it on paper. Then you can go towards all the tools. So whether it's customer experience or retention, when you're talking about increasing the retention via cohorts, is when you will talk about segmentation and RFM or something that starts to talk.
Got it. And just, a quick question around the same thing in terms of, you specifically mentioned a lot of these tools. There's just so many tools out there, right? And even in MarTech, the space that we are in, there's literally 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, whatever number of tools out there. How do you sort of, obviously the frameworks are there in terms of saying, hey, I need to do this, so I need this kind of a tool.
Yeah.
But even when you say that I need this kind of a tool, you will have probably 20 options, 30 options. So how do you sort of go about deciding what are some of the important things for you? Obviously, product functionality, capabilities, etc. is one aspect of it. But how do you sort of go about buying or evaluating and saying, okay, this is what a startup of your size or a startup at different stages in the journey should really care about when they're going?
So yeah, I'll go on that. I think the community that you have in Bangalore, I think that is one preference if I were to say. Talking to a lot of folks around, that has been my one strong trusting factor. I'll say किसी भी tool को अगर मैं ले रहा हूँ वहाँ पे तो that is one. Second, जैसे मारुति बोलता है ना कितना देती है, मतलब मेरा रहेगा कि कितना धंधा बढ़ेगा eventually. मतलब for me it will be a very simple parameter. आप cost save करोगे that is secondary, but first is धंधा बढ़ना चाहिए. If you are helping me in probably better visualization of data, but that's not helping me in growing business, आप P4 पे चले गए, P0 पे धंधा है वहाँ पे. So I think that is one another parameter वहाँ पे. Third is having my product persons buy, very critical. That's what we actually do when. So we come from a business perspective, just मैंने धंधा का parameter. But from a product perspective, one of the very big challenges that typically happens is प्लेटफॉर्म 1 पे डेटा दिखाएगा मेरा 100 ऑर्डर हुआ है, प्लेटफॉर्म 2 पे 200 ऑर्डर है, प्लेटफॉर्म 3 पे 300 ऑर्डर है. फाइनेंस बोलेगा मेरे को इनवॉइस से 50 ऑर्डर किए पड़ते हैं. तो गेटिंग दैट डेटा सैनिटी राइट फ्रॉम अ प्लेटफॉर्म पर्सपेक्टिव P0 अगेन वैसा. So I think these are few things that that we typically look at evaluation.
Maybe I'll try to give a more qualitative answer to this. Which is, just like the way we take these t-shirts, what to wear, what to watch. It's, I think ideally you should try to pick a tool or set of tools which match your style. And in this case, the style is the operating style. Right? Are you going to, and yes, support take this and how much perfection you try to have in your listing, how much control you want to have. Is it like you want to have 100% control of every text that goes out to customers? Or do you think that you want 50-50, maybe you're saying that I will give some signals to the tool, but the tool will take it forward from there? Or is it completely other way around? I want to be hands-on, completely let the tool run with it. So I think the style also. And from that perspective, school concept is conceptual resonance. When the natural frequency matches, you have amplitude that are like the concept. It's very simple. If your style matches the style of the tool with the intent then I think you have maximum result.
Got it. And one last question, I think we're almost on time. So you mentioned about the fact that tools are just a tool. I mean, that's the reason why it's called a tool on tech is just that it's a tool. So how do you sort of set those guardrails when you say, okay, I'm not going to be depending on these tools? And as you rightly pointed out, everybody looks at the data and they're like, okay, this is what the data tells me and all of that. But how do you set those guardrails and say that, okay, any sort of examples where you have done, the data is there, but I'm going to trust the qualitative information that's actually coming back?
That I think a similar example that my evolution to happened, like Megha gave about influencer marketing. The attribution tool was not telling so I think this is very common in digital marketing parlance. If you see, like the question about performance in brand marketing, how do you see that increasing? Now, brand marketing doesn't have a direct attribution which will say, "Isse ta bada." So, in terms of guardrails, is setting up those experiments. And I think those experiments are trusting with incrementality in place of attribution. So the difference that I want to say here is, for example, today if I were to spend 3x of more the money, I'm not going to get 3x more customers, obviously. In fact, there will be organic capitalization. So I think these are those intuitive tools with intuitive thoughts that we have, which we know through experience, which has to be developed. So if I were to put those guardrails, thinking about incrementality over just the numbers that is attributed on your platform, I think that is one. Second, I would say in terms of guardrails, setting up that experimental approach. Again, in brand marketing, like in one of my previous companies, we used to take certain micro markets and go heavy in brand marketing. So probably in one of the markets we'll go very heavy in online brand marketing. In one of the markets we'll go very heavy in offline brand marketing. We know our BAU numbers, how they are going, what is the incremental uplift that we have got. But because this is something that a tool might not tell you, but there will be certain signals that you will see that will tell you. That's your second guardrail, I would say, taking an experimental approach. Yeah, I think.
Maybe I would like to add, I think one of the key things from even is the whole reputation management at the end of the day. Because like we are discussing the referral, a lot of people before trying something they want to see the reviews, right? And basically Google reviews, Play Store reviews, and like NVIDIA, social media channels. Even people before joining the company take classes. Right? So I think everywhere the reputation management is a very key part. Even if you are a 500 team or 500 people, 5,000, I think it doesn't matter. Reputation management is a very key. And in that reputation management, I think one of the things I take an example of that, our Play Store rating was something like 4.1 6-8 months back. Right? And we definitely knew at our heart that this is not reality. There's something like maybe the people, there are people who probably are more upset with us are just more gung-ho about the star rating rather than people who are more happy with us. They are not so much going to doing the 5-star rating maybe, and as per the imbalance in the rating probably. We deserve more, but then the reality was the base for our probably on that. Then what we did is we did some qualitative interviews folks who are like, supposed to be very happy customers. They're doing so many transactions with us, and they're supposed to be happy with what they're doing. Then we asked them. So they told us that we didn't think it was important. Right?
Not for them.
Not for them. Exactly. Give 5-star rating to us on this. So how we didn't help Porter or them, it didn't matter. And then we changed to things, and now we have 4.8 rating. One of the best in have. So I think so often it is all about like no tool would have helped you out to get there, but then this set of interviews with 10 to 15 people help us discover that we are not nudging enough people to give us 5-star rating. And once that happens, organically, as they would say. So now that balance is there between the reality and progress is what we want.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Any questions from the audience? We can have a couple of minutes for any audience questions. Feel free to raise your hand and then we'll get the mic. Okay, there's one front row person gets by audition. Yeah, there you go. Please state your name and then.
Hi, my name is Aditya, and my question is, suppose there is a user who have experienced very bad service from us, and if we want to retarget them, then obviously we are retargeting, the cost of again acquiring that user is again high, and even in that situation I am not sure whether I should acquire that user back or not. So how to deal with this kind of situation? What strategy will you implement in this scenario?
I think this is a very peculiar problem at Licious that we face. I'm sure आप लोग को Licious की तरफ से 50 रुपया, 75 रुपये, 100 रुपये cash आया होगा. That's one of our reactivation means.
Actually, I'm a pure vegetarian.
बाकियों को आया होगा. So it actually hurt the vegetarian देख के. But yeah, I think see this one at scale, I think this is a very good example of what Nitish was talking about. At scale, what I'll do is probably I take a cohort of customers who has not ordered with me for X number of days. I add Y amount of cash in his wallet and I blast him with SMS, show him an ad and say why don't you come back, or show him a YouTube ad, chicken mix at ₹99. आपने शायद देखा रहेगा वो ad, नहीं देखा तो सीधा order कर दो. So the point that you were saying, at a segment level, yes, we will definitely do that. Have we been successful? Yes, we have been successful. We have seen if 100 users get reactivated, out of that, some percentage of users continue ordering with us. But the better approach that we have, now again going back, the customer experience session that we had, what all the 4 founders were talking about at that time, you treat each consumer, if there is a problem, you see and you go to the depth of it. We actually do that. So there is one CRM team, retention team, which is working on a segment-based approach. There is a customer experience team treating each one of you as an individual. अगर आपने बोला है कि आज मेरे को chicken wings का taste अच्छा नहीं लगा, completely subjective. There will be a QA team will actually go and see what happened in that batch, whether that batch का quality score में कोई problem है. So the right way is actually individual based approach that Nitish was talking about, because you'll be able to find actual problems in it. 50 रुपया 100 रुपया देके तो धंधा नहीं बना सकते ना, retention अगर तुम्हें पूरा बड़ा business बना. The point is you solve these and we have found a lot of issues internally जो हमें consumer से पता चलता है because of that. So whichever company you are, if there is any problem, go and speak to those consumers. Open up your channels वहाँ पे. Let the consumers actually write to your founders, to the heads out there on LinkedIn or on email, so that you actually come to know what the problem is. And this process will take a longer time, 6 months or a year. But you will find out the root causes and then your reactivation retention problem won't.
Yeah, I can also summarize it in one way, is that acquiring a new customer will have its own cost, but often winning back the customer is actually much easier if you solve their problem, right? They are giving you 1-star rating, they are happy with something, then this obviously some expectation mismatch has happened. And like you said, I think having a dedicated team and process around just getting to root of it and solving that for others also, I think is a very, very important step that every startup at least phase should always have, because that keeps you honest, that keeps you going in the right direction. And often, like everyone will say that keeping the customer is much better than trying to acquire, because CAC will, even CAC goes up for God also at some point. So for you also, as you grow, the CAC is continuously going to grow. It's much better. Every business out there is only built basis retention. That's one of the non-star metrics for product market fit is always retention.
Thank you so much. I have one more question. Can I have?
Actually, we are up for time, but Prathamesh and Nitesh are going to be around, so feel free to network with them and ask questions. So again, thank you so much, Prathamesh, Nitesh. It was great having you on board, and yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
Thanks.